I'd like for you to keep in mind one thing. When you're traveling down the road or the interstate, don't rely on the vehicle's brake lights in front of you to indicate for you when to apply your brakes. Take it upon your own initiative and look ahead of that vehicle. If you have to look through the windshield or if a car's a couple hundred yards in front of you, get in the habit of looking ahead and watch out for yourself. A form of defensive driving. If you see something going on that needs you to apply your brakes, you can do it gradually, come to a slow stop. That way you won't have to have an emergency lockup, come to an emergency stop in front of you.
You know, I am paid to drive a race car fast. However, on the street, there are situations where you should really slow down. Here's a couple of them. First of all, if you turn on your windshield wipers because you've got snow, maybe it's drizzling a little bit, starting to rain, guess what? You should slow down because, first of all, your visibility is hampered. Second of all, your traction is now less because the pavement is wet or it's a little bit icy, so slow down. Another situation, it's starting to get dusk, it's starting to get dark. You turn on your headlights, you should slow down because you can't see as far now. You don't have the sun helping you. All you have is your headlights. So slow down to be safe so you have enough time to deal with a situation that might pop up in front of you. Another thing, hey, if the roads get hilly or they get curvy, you should slow down because you can't see around corners. You're going to be cornering the car that is less stable than a car that's going straight ahead. Also, you can't see over hills. You should slow down. How about if the traffic increases? You know, you're coming to a town on the interstate, you should slow down because things are getting more congested. You have less room around you to maneuver if a situation occurs, so therefore slow down. Just a few things, different situations where you should take it easy.
Let's talk a minute about hand and seating position in the car. Okay, normally if we find ourselves sitting back like this, a lot of people like to be cool, feel like they're cruising down the road, talk to their friends, play with the radio, do other things like this, but we don't have really good positioning on the car. So what we'd like for you to learn how to do, start our car up, move our seat forward a little bit, bring the reclining of the seat up a little bit so you're in a more vertical fashion, get the steering wheel in a relatively neutral position here, get our hands at 10 or 2 o'clock on the wheel. This gives us the ability to turn down all the way down, full 180 degrees either to the left or to the right, and be able to pull comfortably with the upper part of the body. One really bad habit we want to try to avoid is hooking our hand on the inside of the steering wheel. Pulling like this can only lead to a really difficult way to hold the wheel down here if you happen to hit something which wants to jerk the wheel back, or the potential for injury if you're involved in an accident. By keeping your hands at the 10 and 2 o'clock position, you've got full control of your vehicle all the time.
Let's talk about skid recovery for a second. Let's say you're going down the freeway and you're going to get off at an exit ramp, and you enter that exit ramp and it's a little more slippery than you figured it was. And all of a sudden the rear end of that car starts to move to the left. In other words, it's skidding in the rear. Well, first thing you got to do, take your feet off the pedals. Don't touch the brake. Don't touch the gas. You're going to correct all of this with the steering wheel. Now we're going to turn the steering wheel a little bit to the left because the car is skidding to the left. So you correct to the left. And then at some point the car is going to stop skidding and you have what we call a pause. At that pause, you need to bring that steering wheel back to where it was so you can reduce the possibility of perhaps going into another skid. At that point, you can resume your trip because you've done all the right things to correct a skid. Tire pressure, so very important to safety and the performance of your vehicle, and also to fuel economy. Where do you find the proper inflation for your tires? Don't look on the sidewall of the tire. That just tells you maximum for that particular tire. Where you need to look is on that label that's on the door jamb of your car. The manufacturer has put it there, and it gives you the exact numbers of how much pressure to put in your front tires and how much to put in your rear tires, because they might be different depending on the vehicle. You know what? You need to check that pressure regularly too, because little things like changes in temperature can change your tire pressure. That's right. For every 10 degrees, your tire pressure changes by 1 pound. Up 10 degrees, your tire pressure just went up 1 pound. Down 10 degrees, your tire pressure just went down 1 pound. So you need to check your tire pressure regularly and follow the manufacturer's recommended pressures. Here's a situation that can happen to you if you're driving down a 2-lane road, and I'm going to show you how to correct it. Let's say you've kind of drifted over to the right a little bit too much, and now 2 wheels have dropped down off to the road, down into the gravel. Well, we've got to get the car stabilized and get back on the road in a safe manner. Here's how you do it. First of all, take your feet off the pedals. Don't touch the gas, don't touch the brake. Once you've got the car stabilized, then you can bring the car slowly back up onto the blacktop or the concrete, come up over that lip, get the car stabilized, and now you can resume your trip. No harm done. Driver distractions is one of the major causes of accidents. What are driver distractions? Well, let's talk about a pretty common one, the cell phone. Yeah, you're really adept with that thumb and you can dial a number. Oh, it only takes you a second to dial a long-distance number. Well, guess what? In that second, at 60 miles an hour, you just traveled 88 feet essentially blind because you had no idea what was going on the road. So please try not to dial your cell phone while you're driving. How about talking? You got your best friend sitting right here. You want to have a conversation with them. And it's always polite to look at the person that you're talking to, but not while you're driving. Keep your hands on the wheel and your eyes forward because you know what? Your best friend right here, he or she can hear you because they're right next to you, so you don't need to look at them. So please don't look at them while you're driving down the road and having a conversation. How about that CD disc? You're going to put it in your stereo. Only takes a second. Well, back to that 60 miles an hour, 88 feet per second rule. Only takes a second. Hey, put that CD in before you even leave the driveway, okay? How about eating? Yeah, you're chomping on a cheeseburger. It's awfully good, but that takes your hand off the wheel. A little bit of a distraction, so you only got one hand on the wheel. I want both hands on the wheel, so you have full control of that vehicle. Hey, go inside. Have your burger inside. That's a better idea. Driver distractions, once again, one of the major causes of accidents. Try to minimize those driver distractions as much as possible. Let's talk about one of the most important tools every driver has, and that's the eyes. Look where you want to go. I know that sounds so elementary in terms of driving a vehicle, but it is very, very important to use your eyes all the time. Don't fixate on something. Well, let's give a scenario. Let's say a deer runs out in front of your vehicle. Don't fixate on it, because if you look at it, your brain will probably tell your hands to head right for it. So we don't want that. But look way ahead. Look beyond that deer, and your brain will help your hands try to steer around that deer and hopefully miss that deer. So use your eyes all the time. Look where you want to go 10, 20, 30 seconds from now. Look that far ahead and don't fixate on objects. Vehicle dynamics. You know, there's a bunch of different kinds of vehicles out on the road today. You have passenger cars, SUVs, pickup trucks. They all are designed for different uses. And you, as a driver, you need to drive them differently. You need to adjust to the type of vehicle that you're driving. And also, the load that you have in that vehicle. If you have a pickup truck, you may have a big load back there. You need to adjust your driving accordingly. Also, in SUVs, you might have a bunch of passengers and also a load back there. You need to, again, adjust your driving. Talk about four-wheel drive for a second. Gives us a lot more traction, doesn't it? Well, sort of. In a straight line, it does. Certainly accelerating, it gives you a lot more traction. However, how about braking? Does it help us stop any shorter? No, it doesn't. Two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, they both stop in about the same distance. Your job as a driver, again, adjust to conditions, adjust to the type of vehicle you're driving, and also adjust to the load that's in that particular vehicle. Don't give up. That's my motto for any emergency situation. You know, if you're headed for a ditch and you figure, you know what, I'm headed for the ditch and I'm just going to give up at this point, your brain turns off and you do nothing to try to save the vehicle and therefore save yourself. So don't give up. As long as you keep on trying, your brain is going to keep trying to help you get out of that situation. You may surprise yourself, you may get some grip, and that car may come right out of the ditch, come out of the skid, and you will be out of the situation before you know it, and then you can go, whew. But you know what? Don't ever give up. You may surprise yourself.